The pale light of a Tuesday morning crept through the grime of a small apartment, casting long, skeletal shadows across the floor. Mark stood before his bathroom mirror, the hum of the city already vibrating through the walls. He clutched his toothbrush like a lifeless tool, staring intensely into the eyes of the man in the glass. "Who are you?" he whispered, his voice cracking in the silence. The reflection offered no comfort. It showed a 30-year-old man with a face carved by routine, tired eyes, a sharp jawline tightened by stress, and a mouth that hadn't tasted a genuine laugh in years. He had a stable job in a towering glass fortress of an office, a paycheck that arrived like clockwork, and a home that felt more like a waiting room than a sanctuary. Yet, as he sat at his small kitchen table sipping lukewarm tea, a hollow ache throbbed in his chest. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life, a man who had everything the world told him to want, but nothing that made him want to stay awake. By 8 a.m., Mark was just another grey coat in a sea of commuters, swallowed by the mechanical rhythm of the city. He sat by the bus window, his forehead pressed against the cold glass, watching the blur of neon signs and hurried pedestrians. Everyone looked exhausted, their faces buried in glowing phone screens or hidden behind the collars of their jackets. He wondered if they, too, felt the same gnawing emptiness, or if they were simply better at pretending. During his lunch break, seeking refuge from the sterile white lights of his cubicle, he stumbled into a dim, wood-scented coffee shop. In a corner booth sat an old man with skin like folded parchment and eyes that sparkled with an ancient, knowing light. When Mark asked to sit, the man gestured to the chair with a mysterious grace. "I've been expecting a traveler like you," the stranger said. He didn't ask about Mark's job. Instead, he leaned in and whispered, "Are you truly alive, or are you just a clock ticking toward midnight?" Before Mark could find his voice, the man slid a small, leather-bound notebook across the scarred table. "The truth is a shy bird," the man warned. "You must build a cage of words to catch it." That night, the apartment felt suffocatingly quiet. Mark opened the notebook, the scent of old paper filling the air. The first page issued a silent command, "Write who you are." He picked up a pen, his fingers trembling. He wrote his name. He wrote his age. He wrote his profession. Then, the ink stopped flowing. A wave of profound sadness crashed over him. He realized he was describing a resume, not a human being. He fell into a heavy, feverish sleep and found himself transported to a vibrant, sun-drenched garden from his youth. In the dream, he was a little boy with grass-stained knees and charcoal-smudged cheeks, hunched over a canvas. He was painting a dragon with scales made of emerald fire, his heart racing with the pure, electric joy of creation. "You are special," his mother's voice echoed from the porch. "Always follow the heat in your heart," his father added. Mark woke up gasping, the taste of salt on his lips, realizing he had spent a decade burying the very person he was meant to be. The following morning, the office did not see Mark. Instead, he sought out the dust-covered boxes in his mother's attic, unearthing the treasures of his former self, sketches of soaring birds, vibrant landscapes, and a photograph of himself at age 10, holding a trophy and grinning with a radiance he hadn't seen in years. With a heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird, he visited a local art supply store. He ran his fingers over the rough texture of heavy canvases and breathed in the intoxicating, earthy scent of oil paints. When the shopkeeper asked if he was an artist, Mark felt a strange electricity surge through his veins. "I'm an artist who has been lost for a long time," he replied, his voice finally steady. Back at his apartment, he threw open the windows and began to paint. He didn't paint for money or for praise, he painted to survive. He captured the sunrise from his dream, not a cold, urban dawn, but a spectacular explosion of gold, violet, and crimson that seemed to pulse with life. 1 year later, the grey man from the mirror was gone. Mark's world was now a kaleidoscope of color and purpose. He had opened a modest art studio where the walls were covered in his soul's work and the air was filled with the enthusiastic chatter of children learning to draw. He spent his afternoons teaching them that a paintbrush is a key that unlocks the heart, and his evenings helping underprivileged youth find their own voices through art. One afternoon, the mysterious old man from the coffee shop appeared outside his window. Mark ran to the door, his clothes splattered with paint and his face glowing with a new kind of light. "I know the answer now!" Mark cried out. The old man smiled, his eyes twinkling like stars in the twilight. "Then tell me, Mark. Who are you?" Mark stood tall, his feet planted firmly on the ground. "I am a creator, a mentor, and a man who finally chose to live out loud." The old man nodded, tipped his hat, and disappeared into the golden afternoon light, leaving Mark to step back inside and continue the masterpiece of his life.